Welcome back to part 2, my interview with Stephanie Tinsley about her brand new podcast, Everything They Missed, where she explores the current appeal of what really seems to be an innocent man wrongly convicted for a murder in 2007. Her attention to this case is very important. I'm adding a link in comments to a hearing where an attorney affiliated with the Tennessee Innocence Project was attempting to get this appeal. You'll notice the attitude of the judge when faced with the facts of this case, an unwillingness to even accept that this man might be wrongfully convicted. If you haven't watched part 1, I'm also linking that in comments because you should go back and see that to hear the beginnings of this case. The more attention we pay to cases like this, the better the outcome. There's also a link to her podcast on Apple and Spotify, but if you listen to podcasts on another platform, it should be there too.
And, this is kind of my issue with prosecutors and the DA's office. If you have a confession that doesn't match evidence, first, how can you move forward with that? But also, if it is a very, if it is a homicide case and you get a confession, shouldn't the prosecutor or DA review anything to see how you got there? Just so there's a record
You would
to
think.
understand how did we get here? What did you start with? How did we get there?
Because they've got to try the case. So how are they doing that when they see the confession doesn't match the evidence that's been collected?
Well, quite frankly, they do it because they can. Because jurors even have a hard time understanding why would someone admit to something that they didn't do.
Right.
And so many DAs who are elected officials and if confessions mean convictions and they've got a confession, they can plow forward because, what is their benchmark? Getting the bad guys. So if they hear, hey, we've got a confession over here. Okay, great. Let's go to trial. We've got this guy. Some of the story is a very true crimey story. If you like to learn about, savage, terrible crimes, my podcast has that, but it's also a big learning opportunity. Not just to learn about police interrogation tactics and false confessions, but our responsibilities if we ever become a juror.
Right.
In 2010, I was a juror on an attempted murder trial, and you don't get any kind of instructions, or you get some instructions, but no one really tells you anything about false confessions, and you don't really go into the mindset of, I need to be thinking about anything else besides the facts that are laid in front of me. Like, you kind of put your critical thinking aside and really just focused on the facts. And I think we all as citizens, if we have the opportunity to become jurors, to really sit and question some of that. Just because you have a confession doesn't automatically mean that this person did it. Really understand how did we get there.
That's what I like about your story, because this problem isn't just a problem with police, but like you said, how do the DAs then take this information, this confession that doesn't match, and then how do the judges sit there and hear this? I mean, in their minds, they got to be thinking, well, this confession doesn't match the evidence that you've put here in my court. So it gets past all the fail-safes that are supposed to, that are supposed to make sure justice is served. It just bypasses all of them. And then I've long thought there's a problem when it comes to juries. And, I've been doing my podcast for a few years now and done several cases of different things, some more detailed than others. But I think there's a big problem with juries. One of the things I've done a couple of times with this Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds story is because the accusations, she doesn't seem to have what she needs to prove it. But when you look at the public in general, what their perception is, they hear there was sexual harassment, for example. That's one of the claims in her case. And then they hear, oh, he said this was sexy. And you have some people going, oh, that's sexual harassment. And they are so sure that it is. And then there's others that are like, no, it's not. But if you take the actual jury instructions and you go through and you compare it to that, then you get to the truth. But the thing is it's very complex. And so when I'm reading these jury instructions, they're written in legal jargon. Not everybody's going to understand it. Then there's a bunch of case law that's cited. You have to go in and read all of that, and you have to understand all of that to really be able to grasp as a juror that you're supposed to follow these instructions to determine whether or not whatever the cause of action took place or not. And I have to say, after years of reading legal documents and having a bit of a legal background myself, I think what's provided to a jury to decide these important matters is so pathetically, it doesn't even come close to what is needed to be sure that these people whose lives are in the hands of the court are getting fair treatment.
Right. When it's literally life and death. And, I even talked to some jurors, and this is not unique to Andrew's case, because I took a deep dive into other cases like this and talked to other jurors, and I've heard this time and again where they'd say, well, I was really thought he was not guilty, but I went guilty because, I felt the pressure, or I voted guilty because, no joke, someone said to me, I knew it could be sorted out in the Court of Appeals later. There was even a jury member in Andrew's trial that said, I thought he was not guilty, but I voted guilty because I had a birthday party to get to, and I wanted to get to my birthday party.
Oh, no.
I have her on record saying that. So we just have to, if the only thing that anybody ever hears, in my opinion, on juries is take your time, stand your ground.
Wow.
If you think guilty, if you think not guilty, even if the other 11 people are pressuring you, stand your ground. You have an instinct for a reason. You don't have to go with the crowd. So you're right. There were a lot of places where this could have stopped, that things could have stopped. And from everything I've seen, they all failed. They all failed for Andrew at this point. So, this story is about hope. It is about the hunt for the responsible person. I do not have a background in investigation. I do not have a background in journalism. I came at this completely new to everything. But when I found out what happened to Andrew and that perhaps the responsible person was still out there, I went looking for that person. And I hired my own private investigator. And
oh, wow.
He likes to go.
I love that.
He goes by investigator.
You're my idol right now.
He goes by Investigator Q, so he's very James Bond. But
oh, wow.
He is amazing. He's got a very colorful personality, but he is a badass like you wouldn't believe. I mean, he gets places that I never thought he could get. And so we are, really going down that road. We are really hunting down who's responsible for this. And, I intentionally wanted to hire an investigator to help me with this because it just got to the point that I didn't want to stop until I had more answers. And so this summer we went all in with an investigation.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, Investigator Q. I love it.
Investigator Q. So you'll hear him on the show. And I mean, he doesn't stop. I had a list of jury members and he found most of them.
Wow.
I had a list of other people I wanted to talk to. And Memphis can be a really dangerous city. And so I have been in some situations that when I got home, I thought, that was very dangerous where I was. To get answers, I have put myself in some places that I'm glad I had him with me. But, I think that at the end of the day, it's all about finding justice and finding answers.
Right.
And I'm willing to do that.
Well, that's amazing because this is bigger than even just one story. It's so many things that this has the potential to change. But I can't believe they thought it would be sorted in the Court of Appeals. See, that's the problem. People, they hear things like that, they see it on TV, and they have a perception that's not accurate, because getting an appeal is really, really hard. It's such a small percentage of cases that even could ever even get a chance to appeal. So a lot of it is just bad perception that people don't know. There needs to be a juror class. I don't know.
Like a couple of hours before you start, right? But no, I mean, you get chosen,
you just
and
go.
you get thrown in, and it's.
You go straight from voir dire to the trial's starting now.
That's right.
It's crazy.
That's right. And most jurors will tell you they're bored to death. So that's, that's scary too. But
yeah, are they even paying attention?
Yeah.
And how much are they retaining? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that was my independent investigation. Was deep and thorough and incredibly.
I am so impressed.
Educational. So I have enjoyed that. But so the Murdaugh media experience. So 100% the Murdaugh media experience was the what inspired me. I mean, I think that's what sparked me to do this podcast. When Mark and I met in 2020 and we got married, we got engaged in July of 2021, right after the murders, Poppy were murdered. And so from the moment I met Mark, our whole lives were the Murdaugh tragedy. I mean, we met and the murders happened and we got engaged and we got married, and in all of that was the media firestorm that the Murdaugh trial created. So very beginning of my life with Mark, it was, Netflix filmed a documentary and was in our home for 6 months or 9 months. Netflix filmed our rehearsal dinner. I mean, they were at our wedding.
Wow.
So it was like, the media was all around us all the time. Dateline, 2020, all of these major crime shows that I had only watched as a fan. And, like I said at the beginning, I am the biggest true crime fan out there. And the fact that now all of these shows are in our home, it was a time that I just sat back and watched and learned, and I didn't realize what I was doing. I didn't realize that I was, watching what a producer does, watching what a director does. But I did know when I would watch interviews, whether it was with the Beaches or with other people associated with the case, how the journalists would treat who they were talking to. If they would call Mark for an interview and they were well prepared or they weren't well prepared. And those that were not well prepared, I always say this, I just felt like they were consuming this story as entertainment, and it's not. It's real life. So
yeah, there were a lot of tragedies that wrapped up in that story.
A lot, and you can't. There was not very many people that you were interviewing that hadn't had some traumatic thing happen to them, whether it was a true victim of the financial crimes, whether it was a family member, even, friends and family of the Murdaughs. Like, they all had their own, really tragic thing that just going through it. So in 2023, when the trial was over, I had retired from my job. I had always worked in finance in Nashville and retired to be by Mark's side. So when the trial was over, I was just left with, what am I going to do now? And I was just really inspired to, if a case found me, I had a few conditions. If a case found me, I wasn't going to try to make anything happen. But I felt like if a case found me, I have seen enough that I think I could put a story together. Right. And this case found me, and I started down the road of, I didn't realize that I was a writer. My mother was a writer, and so my parents have passed away. My dad was
I'm sorry.
And thank you. My dad was a lawyer and my mom was a writer. And so throughout this, I
Oh,
feel
wow.
like I've gotten to reconnect with
You
them.
got the DNA for it.
Yeah. So I thought when I started writing this, I'm going to have, a writer by my side because I'm not going to be able to do it. And for the first, 6 months, I realized, just because I was on my own, that I can write and I do have that skill. And so that was really something special to learn. But the story became so big and so important. And, when you came on and helped me with the research, I think you and I started talking during the summer when I was realizing this is bigger than I ever knew. And that's when I decided to work with Tenderfoot. So Tenderfoot is one of the biggest true crime networks. They are based out of Atlanta. They're big shows that you would probably recognize are Up and Vanished and Atlanta Monster. They've got Crook County. But I was so lucky when Donald Albright, he's the CEO of Tenderfoot, agreed to be my creative director in this. And when he signed on, and then Alex Vespasid came on as my co-writer, who is amazing. To Live and Die in LA is one of his podcasts that he produced.
Oh, nice.
Amazing. When Alex came on as my co-writer and Donald was my creative director, I knew I had what it would take to put the story together. And Tenderfoot, the sound design in this, the writing, the story is great, the writing is great. The sound design, it's just an immersive.
It's so top-notch, professional.
So good. I know.
Yeah,
and I just feel so lucky because I fan out in all of this. Like, I can't believe it that the story is what it is, that the research is what it is, that it all came together and the writing is so beautiful that you would think that you're just reading this John Grisham novel that can't be
Yeah.
And then it is happening right now in real time. Like, we're waiting for a court date any day now. And it could be something incredibly optimistic for the case. It could be something catastrophic. So it is.
So where is the case now? What is the situation?
So the case now is court dates are happening now. We're still waiting on decisions that could be catastrophic, could be incredibly optimistic for Andrew and his case. The Tennessee Innocence Project has taken Andrew on as a client. They took him on as a client in 2023. And so they have filed what's called a petition of quorum nobis, which, if you remember high school Latin, that means a petition of new evidence. And so that new evidence is what I was referring to at the beginning of the interview as what is pointing away from Andrew and towards someone else. And so they argued in front of the Court of Appeals on August 4th or 5th. Last month to be able to present the new evidence that they've discovered for Andrew. And so that decision should come any day now. I mean, it could literally come today.
Nice.
It could come 2 months from now. The Court of Appeals is on their own time schedule.
Yeah.
You just never know. Usually it's about 90 days. So I would say, if he argued August 4th or 5th, it could be another month or two. But so that's where they are right now. And also simultaneously, they're trying to get the case reopened so they can investigate who they think is responsible. From the evidence that I've seen and the measures that I've taken, I'm also investigating who I think is responsible. So,
So at this point, as far as police, the investigation is over. They're not looking into anyone. So this will all just be private or through this Innocence Project.
yeah. So if you look the case up right now, today, the case is closed. And so that's what we're hoping is that a judge will decide to reopen the case and take a look at what this new evidence is, where it's pointing. So it's all up to the Memphis DA.
Wow. That's so exciting. I feel like I'm so excited to have been, I mean, as such a small part, but to have had any little part in this, I feel like it's so exciting because it has the potential to change a lot of things, not just for Andrew, who desperately needs this assistance, but hopefully many more like him that have been impacted by this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I hope so. I think that there's a lot of different, ways that you can listen to this story. You can put on your headphones and just listen to this story, and it's just like a John Grisham novel. Or you can listen to this story and get infuriated and wonder what you can do. And
Yes.
there will be calls to action. There will be things that you can do. And, if you just want to listen to it and you just pick up some nuggets along the way that, when your high school son comes home from school today, you talk up to him about what Miranda rights are. You talk to your daughter about, what, if you get in any kind of situation, ask for a lawyer. So there's a lot of things that, the 6 episodes or more can bring. It can be purely entertainment, or it can be very educational.
So I know you're still in the middle of this case. It's a long way to go before you can say it's wrapped up, but what do you see yourself doing after this case?
Well, I have unexpectedly enjoyed doing this so much. And, the title of the podcast, Everything They Missed.
I love that, by the way.
I
love the graphic, the way the D just dissolves, like vanishes. It's just, it's like so simple, but so like you feel it.
Thank you. It took a long time. Titles are hard. Titles are very hard, and we didn't even land on the title until about a month ago. And I think the title itself lends itself to case after case after case.
It does.
I have enjoyed this so much.
It's not specific to this one.
Right. And it can take on all different meanings. And I will say, I don't know if I've ever said this publicly yet, so you hear it first. The title, Everything They Missed, at the beginning very much focuses on the MPD and everything they missed in the interrogation. But if you listen all the way through, Everything They Missed takes on a completely different meaning. So I love the title for lots of different reasons. But, I have enjoyed it so much. I hope that I get to do these again. I hope that when this one's over, another case falls in my lap. And that I'm able to.
I think people will be bringing their cases to you after this because it's so beautifully done. Did you hear that, everyone? Bring your cases here.
Yes.
No, because it's so beautifully done. And when I started mine, what actually started mine is, like you said, after the Murdaugh trial was done, it was like, now what? And for me, I had no idea who Alex Murdaugh was. I had a friend who lives in New York who was following the case, and she kept telling me, you need to watch this trial. You need to watch this trial. And I put it on in the early days, and it was the police investigators, different SLED members, I think, being interviewed. And it was so dull. I thought, what is this? And then she told me there was a documentary, and I can't remember which one it was that I watched. I think it might have been Netflix, which I don't remember if that was out before the murder trial or if that was one that came after, but
I don't remember when that came out, but yes, it could have been better. I agree.
Yeah. So I watched the documentary, and I started it, and I couldn't go to bed. I finished the whole thing in one night, and the next day I was up and ready for that trial to start, and that was it. And you were talking about when Alex was going to testify, and I remember that day. I don't think I sat down. I was just walking back and forth in my living room, just yelling at the TV and calling him a liar and all of this, But when it got into the financial, and wow, I love Creighton Waters so much. The righteous indignation he had for not just the murder, but for those financial crimes. And I remember, because like I said, I had never heard of the case, none of it, not the boat, not the murder, not the financial crimes, none of it. And so I would play back and try to catch the names that he read off, and Creighton talks so fast. And I got to meet him. I was so excited, got his autograph. He's such a, yeah, I was so excited. I got a hug.
Were you at the trial?
No, I met him at one of his concerts. So I got to see the other.
That's right. That's cool.
Yeah, I got to see the other side of Creighton. But I also saw him in some follow-up hearings. So I wasn't at the murder trial, but I did come to some of the hearings when Alex was present, and Russell and Corey. Mm-hmm. But so I got to see. I love to say I got the honor of rising for Judge Newman, one of the last times he held court. And that was so exciting to me, because judges are. I don't know. I've got a lot of opinions about judges, but to me, Judge Newman was one of the most righteous judges that I've ever seen, and patient. Like a lot of judges, they get the God complex, and they just get grouchy and unreasonable, and they don't fully listen anymore. They make snap judgments, but he wants to do it. And he wants to do it's coming from a good place. Like he wants it to be just. And you could just feel that from him.
He is an amazing man. I have a special story to tell about him. Right after the sentencing, Mark and I went back into Judge Newman's office, and it felt like stepping into hallowed ground. I'd never been into a judge's quarters before. And we walk in, and Judge Newman had just taken off his robe. And I don't know if a lot of people know, his wife had come every single day. They had moved from, I think, an hour. They had probably gotten an Airbnb or something. But so Mark and I walk in, and it's Judge Newman and his wife. And Mark and Judge Newman exchanged some very meaningful words. It was very powerful to be there. And I stood next to his wife, and I think we were all crying. And
what a moment!
What a moment! Judge Newman is there's an astounding man. I mean, he just it was so nice to
there aren't many judges like him. Yeah, I read about that in Valerie's book.
Oh, I didn't know. I haven't read her book.
Oh goodness, Mark told the story to her, and she's got such a way with words. And oh my goodness, I was bawling my head off. You'll have to read. You'll have to read.
Yes, yeah.
It's really, really good. So he must have told her the story in very good detail, because I felt like I was there.
Oh,
and I'm just bawling reading that, because I wondered about that. Like what he expressed in the book, that he felt responsible, which he shouldn't. He shouldn't. But he does carry that. You would
carry that. Yeah.
And you'll have to read if you don't have time to read the whole book. I know you're a very, very busy woman right now.
Yes,
if you just read
all
that.
My spare time. I'll get the cliff notes. But,
it was beautiful. Yeah. But I forgot what I was saying about Creighton. So so he was rattling off these names, and and he has the accent, and I'm trying to write down what I think he said, and I can't even remember how I spelled what I say Plyler, but his was like Plawler. I can't say it, but I was like trying to like write out who these people were, and then that was what I went into, and it was actually the Badger family that got me into this when I read about the Badgers and Hakeem Pinckney.
Oh yeah, Hakeem Pinckney. Yeah.
Yeah. So those two really, really got me in the heart. And then I was like, you know what? We keep hearing about Alex. Everybody knows who Alex is. Yeah. It's all Alex. But what about these victims? Yeah.
And if I was going to leave anybody with anything, it's take some things from this story and talk to your kids about them. Kids want to learn and they want to know, and all of this stuff is interesting. And I have just been so overwhelmed and grateful that my family has been with me throughout this entire process, has, just embraced kind of this wild ride that I've put them on. But talk to your kids. Talk to your kids about issues like this. They want to learn. And so I hope everybody will listen to everything they missed. It's out anywhere you get your podcasts. It's a bingeable type story. If you like bingeable stories, put your headphones on and go for a very long walk, because you'll be in for quite a ride. So, Cassidy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Listen,
Thank you.
Mark and I are such big fans of yours. I mean, such big fans.
That's
I
crazy
remember
to me.
when you started and we would just read your stuff on X, and I would think, who is she? Like, she knows everything. Is she in the trial? Is she sitting next to us? Like, is she a lawyer? Who is she? So I feel so excited to be on your show and be part of your show. And I consider you a friend, and I thank you for all of the research and the hard work that you did.
I'm so honored you're here. Would love to have you back as the story progresses too.
Yes, please. I will come back again when I'm not racing off to mountain bike.
All right. Well, I hope your son does well.
Let's do it again. I would love
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
That's the end of part 2. Thank you so much for listening, and we will be having Stephanie back on this channel later. Please subscribe to her podcast, Every View Matters, for Andrew Wayne Hayes.